An independent investigation has found workplace abuse at factories in China which produce the iPhone and the iPad for Apple. The US Fair Labor Association says it found major health and safety risks, as well as excessive working hours and unpaid wages at Foxconn factories. Apple, which commissioned the audit, said it fully accepted the report's recommendations. Joining me now from Geneva is Jenny Holdcroft, who works for the global union which represents electronics workers. That's the International Metal Workers Federation. Jenny Holdcroft, who is really to blame here?
Well, it's a very complex question because we can't say that Apple is to blame, because really the conditions that they found at Foxconn are endemic throughout the electronics industry. So Apple is doing the right thing by investigating, though I have to say that these conditions are no surprise to those of us who've been working in this area for many years. What we need to focus on is what happens next, and that's the important question. Clearly, this auditing model of looking at factories and then making remedial actions is not a sustainable picture. And what we want to talk about is how trade unions play a role in empowering the workers to get involved in improving the conditions themselves.
Okay, if it comes down to health and safety conditions, who should the driving force here be? The workers, the unions, or the employers?
Well, the workers and the unions should be one and the same voice. That's part of the issue. But they should be working with the employers. Clearly, the employer has a duty of care. But what we've seen from the FLA audit, as we've seen through many investigations in the past, that alone is not enough. The workers also need to be participating with management, solving these crises, working out what the solutions are and finding safer ways to work. It's not just about health and safety, that's a very important part of it, but we see working hours, we see wages, and these are all issues that workers should be doing collective agreements with their managements about.
Would it be simple to sort this issue if a big multinational, astonishingly successful company like Apple, if it comes to town, if it comes to your country, it says you've got to do A, B, C and D, otherwise you don't get the gig, you don't get the contract to build our things, our devices?
Yeah, I think that would be an extremely powerful thing to do, and I think that's part of the explanation of why we have been focusing so hard on Apple, because really the status that Apple has, the profits that it makes, it's in a unique position to drive changes throughout the entire industry. As I say, it's not just about Apple. If you look at any of the major brand name companies, you will find these sorts of conditions in their supply chain. It takes some company with the stature of Apple to be able to push through changes from the top down. But it also needs workers to be empowered to be able to engage at local level to ensure long-term sustainable solutions to these abuses.
Jenny Holdcroft, many thanks for joining us here on BBC World News. Well, Apple's success continues to eat into earnings from the company behind the BlackBerry. Its profits were worse than expected. Research in Motion reported a loss of $125 million in the 3 months to March, compared to a profit a year earlier. The firm says it will focus on the corporate customer rather than individual consumers. The headlines are coming up in just a moment. Also, how we British love to queue. There's no strike action, there should be enough petrol at the pumps, but when everyone else panics, what else is there to do?